people are dying by the thousands. Whatever the conflict may be, whether it's poverty, whether it's hunger, whether it's different armed conflicts going on. South America, same story. And especially our age, where we're studying, we're being exposed to different ideas, we become so afraid of the environment around us, where we're not sure where to act. The right and wrong, the lines between right and wrong become so ambiguous, where there's such a gray area, where we start questioning the presence of evil in the world. Why is there so much evil in the world? If this God, the atheist may argue, if this God you believe in so much is so good, why is there so much evil in the world? If a God were to exist, wouldn't there be no evil? SubhanAllah, even the atheist is admitting that a God, for him to exist, must be all good. Just see the nafs that God put in us, where we look inside, where we say, if a God were to exist, he must be all good, because it would make no sense for a God to make a system where there's evil present. However, we must understand that when the rhetoric starts going in such a manner, we have to understand why there is so much evil present in the world. Where Allah constantly reminds us that this is a test. إِنَّ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ إن سورة الإنسان هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا إن خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه. It always reminds us that life is a test. We're constantly being tested. And what does it mean to have a test? All week I've been hearing an Orgo exam coming on. I mean, hopefully everybody did well, inshallah. What does it mean to have, for example, a multiple choice test? When you analyze this test, you have 4 choices that are wrong, and we could define them as evil, and 1 choice that is right, and that we could define it as good. Would it make sense to take out all those evil answers and to put only right answers? Of course not. It won't be a test anymore. You would approach the teacher, if we're serious about our education, put the exam on the table and say, don't test me, because this isn't a test. It doesn't have evil in it. I need to be challenged. I need to be able to distinguish between right and wrong. And this is what improves us as we're constantly challenged. We're constantly being improved because Allah constantly reminds us, Ya ayyuhal insan innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan. This struggle where we question between right and wrong, this is a blessing for us. Just because there's evil present doesn't mean we have to point at God and say because there's evil present, God is evil. No, we must be disgusted from evil, and we have to use that anger to approach in a positive manner. So how do we approach in this positive manner when when the lines between right and evil are so ambiguous? There's different ways to approach God. There's taqwa, there's prayer. One of the principles that we recognize in the Quran is its level of balance on various issues. The Quran says in Surah Al-Rahman, وَأَقِيمُوا الْوَزْنَ بِالْقِسْطِ وَلَا تُخْسِرُوا الْمِيزَانَ, where it places this balance in the system which God created. And then when you study these various issues, various conflicts in the world, typically the answer lies in the middle. SubhanAllah, you look at the system of God, where various conflicts in the world, the solution to these issues are usually in the middle. Where you look at capitalism versus socialism, the ideological war that was going on during the Cold War in this last century. Where you look at capitalism, total free market, or you look at socialism, total government, for example. You look at the answer, scholars usually approaches in the middle, where there's minimal government intervention versus some free market. There needs to be some limitation. Or you look at various Islamic principles. Should I just devote myself to Allah? Should I just pray 24 hours a day without working? Mashallah, it's good to devote yourself to Allah, but you look at the realistic sense, it doesn't make sense. It's nonsensical. Devote yourself 100% to Allah while disregarding your duties as a human being. How are you going to raise your children? How are you going to work in life? Allah tells us, فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. It tells you work after you finish prayer, after you finish dhikr, go work in the land, but don't forget Allah. Remember Allah, but don't forget to work in your land. It's a balance in the middle. Constantly remind us. Or, for example, extremism. Very, very big debate going on today. When we find the kuffar, we're supposed to just grab him, totally rip him apart, condemn him. No, this is very nonsensical in Islam. Very, very solid example. Musa alayhi salam, after he's been expelled from Egypt, as he was coming back, he was called by the fire, and it was known to be Allah, where Allah commands him, "Idhab ila Fir'aun, innahu tagha." We all know the story of Pharaoh. Who was Pharaoh? Killing the firstborn of Bani Israel, all of them, firstborn of Bani Israel, because he heard that there was a prophet emerging from amongst them. Killing all the firstborn, calling himself God. Who deserves to be more executed than Pharaoh, honestly, in history? Calling himself God, executing the firstborn in history. But you recognize the way God commanded him to approach Fir'aun was, he said, "اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى وقول له قولا لينا." Subhanallah, brothers and sisters, we have to understand the gravity. The Quran is not a joke. وقل له قولا لينا لعله يتذكر أو يخشى. Even God, He knows obviously, He knows that Pharaoh is not going to give in to Musa's arguments, saying that there is a God and there is such a thing. But he wants to teach Musa as well as us a lesson. Where when I call you the representative of God, a representative of God on the earth, you have no right to raise your tongue upon the enemy of Allah. قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. Everything is supposed to be through wisdom, and the Quran constantly reminds us to approach this with wisdom and wisdom. وَادْعُوا إِلَى سَبِيلِ رَبِّكَ بِالْحِكْمَةِ وَالْمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ. Always through wisdom. And this is the approach that we need to take. Because at the end of the day, we're representatives of God on the earth. I mean, how are we going to approach this? Are we going to approach it through violence? Are we going to approach it through... when you look at all the injustice in the world, we feel so helpless. So helpless. I mean, what can I do? What can you do? Even as I'm a political science major, a lot of people come and ask me, what are you going to do? But what are you going to do when you graduate? Honestly, I'm at an impasse. I don't know whether to go work for a NGO, for example. So much corruption in the NGOs today, all over the countries in the world, trying to promote their interests. I work for various governments who are so corrupt in their dealings, so un-Islamic in their dealings, where they only want to promote their national interests. Where do I go from here? We have to understand that Islam emphasizes يعني كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. Whenever we see injustice, we have to fix it any way we can, whether it's through government positions. If you actually feel that you could go through these corruption levels, you have to move towards that position, or even writing, or even just saying something against it. Any little thing could make a difference. And when you see, for example, genocides happening in Rwanda, very, very recently, the last 2 decades, 800,000 people were massacred while the world stood by. Imagine. And these countries, they decide selective intervention, where when they see their interests are being threatened, only then do they intervene to promote their interests. But when 800,000 people are died, everybody just stands by. And if somebody reacted, maybe hundreds of thousands of lives could have been saved, in any way possible. So this is the method that we need to approach. تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. Any way we can. قل ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله لي ولكم استغفروا إنه هو التواب الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولي الصالحين، وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وعظيمنا وحبيبنا محمدا رسول الله خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين Brothers and sisters, and I try to keep this minimal. We have elections approaching for MSA. Alhamdulillah, every year we have elections for the different office members, and almost every year we have a conflict of leadership, where everybody is trying to promote their positions all of a sudden, only towards the end of the year. Well, subhanallah, when you try to understand the leadership of Islam, it's suffice just to look at two cases, Abu Bakr and Ali, as they were appointed leaders. When you look at Abu Bakr's position, for example, as he was waiting for the Prophet's burial, the Prophet's cleansing, after he died, rahimahullah, he was called by Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah that the Ansar were meeting to choose a leader from amongst them. And then he went to Saqifa Bani Sa'ida with no intention of promoting himself as a leader. SubhanAllah, he knows his own position. He knows how valuable he is in the community. But even then, he never promoted his leadership. Even to the end, where after exchanging discussions between the Muhajirin and the Ansar, he named Umar as Khalifa. Imagine, he put Umar forward as Khalifa, and then only then Umar switched, and then he promoted Abu Bakr. Nowhere did Abu Bakr promote himself as a leader. And another case is Ali, radiallahu anhu. When after the massacre of Uthman, when he died while he was reading Quran, blood splattered all over the Quran. After he was massacred, people started coming to Ali, asking him, "Hey, we need you to be Khalifa. The world is such a chaos." He said, "Da'uni." The first stage, he said, "Da'uni, leave me, for you don't know the gravity of the incident we're in right now." Ali's Khalifa was one of the most so much fitna happened in Ali's Khalifa. First with the Ma'arak al-Jamal, Battle of Siffin. We're not going to get into that right now, but he understood the gravity before he became Khalifa. And he wanted the people to know this before he actually accepted the Khilafah. Where he told them, "Leave me alone, for you don't know the gravity. This issue has so many faces that no intellect could comprehend. Leave me, it's better for you to find somebody other than me." Ali, radiallahu anhu, he knows his own position, where praise after praise, the Prophet is raising him. Al-ilmu ma'ali wa Ali ma'al-ilm. The knowledge is around Ali. He knows his position, but even then he never promoted himself. Never did he promote himself for the leadership. Only then he became reluctant to accept the leadership because it was so much fitna going to happen. My point is that we live in a system where consumerism, for example, is so prevalent. We always want things. We always want to promote our interest. The system created, subhanAllah, it created an environment so thorough where it promotes us to buy with money that we don't even have, to buy things that we never need. It always talks to us that we need this, and when we get it, we're never happy. As a matter of fact, for the first time in history, a system is created where it successfully creates and distributes unhappiness so thoroughly, and we're never happy with what we get. And same thing, the Prophet alludes to this. Subhanallah, 1400 years ago. من كان همة الآخرة فجعل الله غناه في قلبه وأتته الدنيا reluctantly. Whoever is chasing after the dunya, you're never going to get it. However, if you want the akhirah, if your vision is only towards the akhirah, the dunya will come to you. Subhanallah. And whenever you don't want anything in the dunya, it will come to you reluctantly. Yeah, inshallah we could approach this towards we could apply this when we think about promoting ourselves. The bottom line for MSA, for example, is it's not to be a leader. It's to understand the bigger picture. The bigger picture is to create this community in such a critical time. And we have to understand the gravity even if we want to promote ourselves, inshallah. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين. اللهم ثبت أقدامنا ووحد صفوفنا واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. استر عوراتنا وأمن روعاتنا وفك أسرنا وارحم بعثنا وبلغنا مما يرضيك أعمالنا واختم بالباقيات الصالحات أعمالنا. آمين يا رب العالمين، آمين يا رب العالمين. أكثر الصلاة والسلام على أكثر الصلاة والسلام على نور عرش أفضل الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد ست القلوب. وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.